Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to have a conversation between two victims, targeted individuals. We are trying to make it educational and engaging, and we're going to try to explain everything we can, what we are going through, what gangstalking is, and what's happening to us. We are not going to make it like an interview. We are going to make it like a conversation between two targets. And we are going to keep it simple as possible. So, a few words about me. My name is Viorel Serb. I'm a Romanian. I've been targeted for about 15 years or so. I can say 12, 13, 15. I can't really say exactly, more than 10 anyways. I have my YouTube channel, about 200, more than 200 videos. I wrote a book. I have a website. I'm trying to do my best to help people, the victims especially, and the general public understand what's going on, because sooner or later, every single person on earth will be connected to this system. So today, I am talking to Lorraine. Please, Lorraine, say a few words about you.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to have this chat. My name is Lorraine. Most people know me, Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. But I moved from Manalapan, New Jersey, and a home I lived in for 30 years as a ritual owner. And I moved to rural Kentucky. I live on a farm. I've got cats and farm animals. I've got a 501c3 nonprofit cat rescue called Freya's Cat Rescue. I moved 28 rescue cats with me to Kentucky and adopted several more. My YouTube channel is Alternative Homesteading, where I provide evidentiary videos, homesteading, animals, and gang stalking, also known as organized stalking, community-based harassment, and my targeting experiences for the most part. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting the invitation and for talking to me.
Yes.
Let's start with talking about the people who are arresting us. Let's say, let me start with a few words.
Yes.
As far as my research goes, these people are the Freemasons. And what I came across when I researched the Freemasonry, the occult, they are using tactics and techniques and pedophilia to damage the brains of their members to make them more easily to be controlled. Like, it's something called MK Ultra, MK Naomi, and Project Monarch. So basically, they are torturing these human beings since birth, and they are kind of splitting their brains, and they are inserting new personalities in it. So these people are basically brain damaged. They are not normal human beings we are dealing with. And even if we are trying to, pump some common sense in them and trying to tell them what they are doing, we can't, because they are programmed to act the way they are acting. Plus, there are so many of them, and they are encouraging each other. So we, a few of them, telling them that what they are doing is wrong and they are brainwashed and they are brain damaged, it won't help.
No.
You studied psychology. You can add a few words to this.
Yes. And I don't know if you can hear it, but as soon as you started to speak, my chickens, roosters, they're all cackling like crazy. I don't know if they're being harassed by somebody on the property or radio frequencies, but I hear them in the background just suddenly act up. But yes, I have an undergraduate degree in abnormal, deviant, and violent psychology with a concentration in addiction, addictive behaviors. Also, after that, I attended certification for drug and alcohol counseling, so I completed all of those credits. After that, I went for my master's degree. So I have a master's degree in psychology with a concentration in health. So for my master's thesis topic, capstone they called it, was medicating children diagnosed with ADHD and the healthy alternative. So basically, I delved into a topic that nobody wanted me to speak about. Some people have suggested that I'm targeted because of that, but I don't think so. But so most of my research revolved around the negative side effects of medicating children with Ritalin, also known as methylphenidate, Concerta, Adderall, all of those amphetamines, the legalized cocaine. That's what I'm calling it. So that was my area of study. I also have 2 certifications in human resources. So I was a corporate human resources manager. I had my own staffing business, so I interviewed people for Wall Street, pharmaceutical industry, and let's see what else we've got. I studied hypnosis, so I actually have 3 certifications in hypnosis, a certified clinical hypnotist, because in New Jersey you can no longer call yourself a hypnotherapist or hypnocounselor, which it was when I started, because of, they own those words now. So yes, I'm a clinical certified hypnotist.
So you know exactly what I'm saying.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what they're doing to me.
That's why I was saying I need to talk to you, because you also have these qualifications.
Yes.
And it's not because sometimes they are accusing me of saying things that, you just make things up, or you are calling us names. Well, I'm not calling you names. I'm just describing your behaviors. And that's why you are a psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever field you probably choose.
Yeah.
And when I say that their brains are damaged, you know that I'm not just saying things because I wanted to say things.
Trauma damages the brain. And the earlier, I'm going to say the earlier the better, or the earlier, the more they're imprinted. We know that the brain is still developing till the age of 21 to 23 years old. For people that grow up in those trauma-based, mind control, satanic ritual abuse families, they're starting at infancy. And you're absolutely right. They want to split the personality.
The brain develops, until the age of 7 or 8, the brain, it's still living in a la la land. It's still can perceive reality. Everything is like fantasy. And that's why these occultists are starting very early with their trauma and with their programming, because if that child can't perceive reality, can't distinguish the reality from fantasy, and the brain changes from the age 7 to the age 12 to the second stage, once they are programming that child with something before the age of 7, they are taking that programming into the second stage, and from the age of 7 to the age of 12, 13 or 14 is the second stage of programming. And by the time the brain reaches maturity at 21, or latest probably is 25, the new studies are like 25, not 21. Some old school books, they were saying 21. Others, the new ones, are saying 25. Doesn't matter the age. But by the time these people are reaching the age of maturity, of brain maturity, they are never mature. The brain maturity, is it too late for them to go back? Because they were programmed to be self-destructive. Even if you tell them they are self-destructive, they will be just laughing at you. It's like talking to a zombie. You'll be amazed if you would take one and explain him simple concepts. He will just look at you and laugh in your face like you have something to him, or it's a joke. They can't. They are completely disconnected from the reality. They are programmed this way.
From their feelings, and the lack of empathy, and compassion, and with regard to the age stages, they're very specific about before the age of 7, before the age of 14, and before the age of 28. And I'll tell you why, because those are Saturn cycles. And regardless of what viewers, beliefs are, the beliefs of these people, the Freemasons, the witches, that practice this, they utilize astrology. They utilize the cycles of the planets, particularly Saturn, which is Satan.
Yeah, the Saturnalia.
Right before the age of 7, before the age of 14, and before the age of 28, which is why in many cultures, when there are arranged marriages, it's usually before the age of 28 because they're always astrologically matched. And usually after you go through that Saturn return, you're no longer tied to your paternal family. You want to venture out on your own. So they make sure that you get married before the age of 28 so that you don't branch out to your individual mindset, if you will.
You are trapped into the cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of kids stalking and harassing me, and that's why I say we can't change them. But what I'm hoping with this chat, if they will listen to us, I know they will. They always do, to try to discredit us or leave naughty comments and try to talk nonsense. At least if we can explain them what is happening to them, they might have something clicking up there, and don't change completely or leave the occult because they will probably kill you, but just shift a little, get back to reality somehow, like a little slap somehow, wake up, what you're doing is wrong. We both know what we are talking about. It's not just trying to help us and the victims. We are always trying to help you guys, like the perpetrators, the Freemasons, because you are also victims, but you are seeing yourself as heroes, and you are not heroes. You are self-destructive, and you are not only self-destructing, you are distracting the world along you.
Yes.
And the good people.
Yes. There's a lot of distortion between what's good is bad and what's bad is good. They seem to reverse everything, like it's a reversal. And there appears to be in this country, and other people are talking about it now, the rise of having a one religion. And the one religion, I mean, it's not Christianity, it's not Buddhism, it's Satanism. And they all have been erecting statues all over the country, here in the United States. I don't know about in other countries. People are protesting and stuff. So the one world religion that they're not telling people about, that other people surreptitiously are mentioning sideways, is Satanism. And there's a reversal of everything. Good is bad, bad is good. Backward clothing, black instead of white.
Yeah, they are using a lot of inversion.
And of course, and I don't know if I could even say this, in the community where people are transitioning, I'll use those words, they're transitioning from one sexual identity to another, that's an agenda. This is not naturally.
I'm glad you brought that up. I will add something to that. I made a video and I wrote an article about Anonymous. And in that video, I exposed pedophilia and the dark web. On the dark web, there are hundreds and thousands of gigabytes, terabytes of child porn. Exactly what we discussed before we started recording. They are using pedophilia and they are using trauma. They are using pedophilia for two reasons. One, they believe in chakras. I'm not sure if they are real or not, and they believe in energies. And by raping a child with pure energy, they are connecting into that child's chakra, and they are extracting that child's pure energy. That's one reason they are doing it. And the second reason they are doing it, it's because they want to traumatize that child to program it, going back to the programming, what we were talking about. And I think that this transition that's happening, it's by design and by mistake. Because if you notice, these people, they really believe it. If you try to put some common sense in them and say, no, you are not a woman, you are a man, they will just jump on you, and they are willing to kill you. They really believe that. Going back to the programming, when they were children, they were probably made to believe all sorts of things, to turn them into self-destructive, organisms, because you cannot call them people anymore, because they are not people. They are like some sort of self-destructive organisms, because they don't have brains anymore. They are basically zombies. And it's everything about control. Somehow they think by damaging their own people and pushing their own people against the rest of us, somehow the rest of us will just bow down and say, okay, master, we are going to, chop my organs off and become something else. I mean, we, the people who grew up, let's say, in a normal environment, if you can, normal, it's subjective, but not with trauma and pedophilia and that, we cannot be manipulated as they are manipulating their own people. And somehow they have this delusion that they think that, okay, we control the half handful of people, now the rest are going to follow. No, it's not working that way. Somehow they have all the experts and all the psychologists and all the money in the world, but their stupidity and their delusion is just out of this world.
Yes.
Because they are passing the delusion from generation to generation, and it goes worse and worse and worse and worse. Instead of them getting smarter, they are getting dumber. That's why you see all these contradictions happening. That's why you see all, nothing making sense anymore. To them, in their delusion, it makes sense, but to the rest of us, it's just something isn't right. You can see it.
Yeah, I think there are so many reasons for it. It's not just one. I mean, it's certainly an agenda. It may even start in utero. But many of the parents today, everybody's on TikTok and social media and stuff, and it seems to be socially acceptable now to transition. Like if you were a homely, little girl, who hasn't gone through puberty yet, oh, it's okay to transition. You'll feel better about yourself. We can give you some hormones now to prevent puberty, the puberty blockers, and then you won't have to go through those horrible symptoms. But in addition to the social media, it being so acceptable, is that the food supply is tainted with estrogen. So you'll see more young boys develop what, most people call like man boobs, right? They're fleshy, like they have somewhat like breasts at a young age. So boys are thinking like, maybe I'm a girl.
Yeah, because the testosterone is dropping, the estrogen is rising, and is the imbalance going on, plus the agenda. That's exactly the same thing I discussed in my previous interview with the targeted individuals, when I said I was covertly drugged and why they are pushing the antipsychotic medications, because we are biochemical beings.
Yes.
And they need to attack us from all fronts. They cannot just give you a magic pill and do whatever they want with you. So they are giving you a pill. They are creating the imbalance they are talking about with their pills. And then they are hitting you with directed energy weapons.
Yes.
And then they are creating this synthetic reality with street theaters and with the harassment. And all of a sudden, you are in a parallel reality and you don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. Everything that these, I'll call them controllers, do is to isolate the victim, isolate the test subjects, right? Isolate us from our support systems, from people who know us, who can support us, who could validate, hey, Lorraine, what's going on with your hair? How how come your hair's not as full as it usually is? Or what's that scratch on your face? Like, where did you get that scratch from? There's nobody to validate the experience other than for me to get onto my channel and say, hey, I got hit with directed energy weapons today. I've got a scratch on my face. But if my mother were around or a family member were around walking into your property and say, what is going on? Like, I was here like 2 weeks ago. How come your grass is all browned out? Like, what happened? All we've had is rain. There's nobody to validate the experience, and that's intentional. It's all by design. They want it crazy, we're delusional, but it's really happening.
That's what we are doing with all the victims, with the schizophrenics as well. Don't you? I mean, I don't know if probably I'm on also a lot of schizophrenia groups, and most of the people in the schizophrenia groups are complaining about being alone and lonely. So I lost friends, I lost family, I lost everything. It's the same pattern. Pattern. It's the same pattern in victims of mind control, like victims, like targeted individuals who know what's going on, and the schizophrenics who don't know what's going on. Because they are creating this synthetic reality, and the programming works very well because most of these people believe in religion. I'm not religious. I don't follow the crowd. And I can't be brainwashed with religion, but most people are. And most people believe the lies that they are told that some sixth dimension entities are harassing them, or some fallen angels or demons or whatever, which is not true. It's all medication, technology, tactics and techniques used on the rest of us. Some will kind of agree, but then somehow they ignore you. And then some will just completely ignore. Like, if you tell them they are not, I know that the angels are harassing me. I mean, okay, if you know, what can I do? I'm trying to help you and you just don't listen. The delusion and the brainwashing, it's just unbelievable. I mean, are you religious or you are not?
No, I'm not religious. I actually grew up in a dual religion household. My mother's family was born in Russia and Poland, and my father's family was born in Italy. So we had Judaism and Catholicism in the same household. We never had a Bible. I didn't know anything of what was written in the Bible until, I guess, after I got divorced. I decided, I'm going to buy a Bible. I'm going to give it to my daughter because, I don't want her to miss out on something that everybody else is, looking at. I don't know whether or not she's even glanced at it, but no, I did not grow up religious at all. I did go to church every Sunday, as probably until I made my confirmation. I think that was at the age of like 13, maybe 13 or 14. And then after that, I just didn't really go anymore. Although my father would take us to Sunday Mass for Christmas because it was so beautiful. It actually, with the organ playing in the background, the flowers and the singing, the hymns.
Yeah, all the rituals and that, they're quite like nice, but
yeah, it's very pretty.
Yeah, that's why they can't brainwash you, and they can manipulate you because you are not religious, so you don't believe in fairy tales, and you studied psychology and psychiatry and everything you mentioned, so you kind of understand the process of how the brain works, and that's why I keep saying to the people, and I keep insisting making these videos educational, because if you know what you are dealing with, you can save yourself. You can help yourself.
Yes.
If you don't know what you are dealing with, you will believe any lie that you are being told.
Yes.
And like the example I give you with, I was speaking to a girl and she told me that not the fallen angels are harassing me. I was like, okay, if you believe that.
You say that they're fallen angels, they're devils.
And I showed her, I shared her links with videos and whistleblowers and everything, and she didn't want to watch it. Some people are so indoctrinated that just basically cannot help it.
Yes.
And that's why they don't want people like us talking. You see? They remember a few months ago when I told you they wanted to make you look like a perp?
Me, yes, yes. You told me that. Other people have told me that too. And you want to hear something before? I sorry for interrupting, but
No. Say.
a targeted female who has a YouTube channel. She did something that I wasn't happy about, and I'm not really in contact with her anymore. But she gets V2K. She doesn't realize this, but on her channel, she's recording, and you could see her physically stop, listen to a voice telling her that Lorraine, because she was talking about what was happening to my cats. She stops in the middle of the video. She's listening to somebody telling her that Lorraine is a perp. Don't believe her. And then she's discounting what they're telling her and starts saying, no, somebody's got to go help Lorraine with her pets. You can see it on her video. She's being interrupted by V2K. I mean,
Yeah,
if it was right there. She's not schizophrenic. And I just want to add that you don't be. Some people, there are old-time psychologists like R.D. Laing who didn't feel like schizophrenia was a mental illness. He felt that it was a coping mechanism. He felt it was a coping mechanism.
The entire psychiatric industry, it's nothing more than just an extension of the law.
Well, yes. And
the first governmental entity or private entity, if you want to, whatever you want to classify this, they keep, making names for themselves and giving themselves titles and whatever they want to, just making things up. The first to make mind control experiments were the psychiatrists. And then from the psychiatry, they transferred some tactics and techniques to the military, which they used to interrogate people.
Yes.
And then they came up with the DSM. And then they, for thousands of years, people need to understand this. For thousands of years, these people, the Freemasons, the Jews, the Jesuits, the Club of Rome, the whatever, there are a lot of people like, so-called the slave masters. For thousands of years, they are having this power because we are dumb, and they are keeping us dumb. That's why I insist we need to educate the people. We need to snap them back into reality, because like 99% of the people are living in La La Land, in different delusions. They are following football, they are following religion, they are following psychiatrists, they are following doctors. They are all this, I would call them instruments of control. They are nothing more, nothing less, just instruments of control to enslave us and to control us. And when people are indoctrinated, the only way to help them so they can help themselves is to educate them and to explain to them what's happening so they can understand and deal with it. Going back to, because I wanted to add something to the fact that they tried to make you look like a perp. How they did it? I will explain. First, I contacted you and I said, I want to, have this chat with you. What they did, of course, they are monitoring us. They are using number 3 to harass me.
Number 3?
Yes. In the following weeks and months, they made a lot of damage to your property using number 3. They made 3 holes in the ground. They made 3 holes in the bucket. They made, all over the place.
Yes, triangles.
Triangles, 3 points, 3 dots, 3 this, 3 that. And then because what I'm doing, because I'm using like a defensive tactic. When somebody is harassing me using number 3, which is obvious who's a perp and who's not after so many years, I just simply block them. I don't follow them anymore. What they tried to do is they tried to make you look like a perp. So we don't have this conversation. I keep you isolated and keep me isolated.
I see.
The second thing they did, they took it one step further. After I told you that we need to talk, like I want to have a chat with you, what they did, they sent you an email and then they asked you to interview them. Remember? And you said in one of your videos, sorry guys, I'm very busy. I can't interview any of you now because I'm very busy. That was a reverse psychology trick they used because I'm listening to your channel. So when you said that, that's supposed to be directed to me because
interesting.
Because I asked you to interview me, but I didn't ask you to interview me. But that's how they put it. And then when you said, guys, I don't have time, that should have been the second trigger to consider you a perp, you know?
Interesting.
Like somehow you are harassing me and you are using the same things to, you know, reverse psychology. Like, yeah, she's a perp because she's using number 3. Now she's saying that she won't interview me and stuff and this and that.
Oh, they've been using number 3 since I lived in New Jersey. I have dozens of photos of their 3s. And also, if you go to my channel, you know, the little magnifying glass, if you type in triangle, you'll get dozens of videos of me photographing the glass triangles they leave all over my property. Pieces of glass, like underneath my car tire, on the side here, in my bed. They cut a triangle. I could even go get it and show it to you. They cut a triangle in my antique, my vintage cat vase, and I was looking all over for it. I get into bed that night, and they stuck the piece of glass at the foot of my bed under the covers. That's how sick these people are.
Yeah, they are entering into people's home and they're doing... I had this friend who worked for the secret services in Romania. He's a piece of junk. And, you know, sometimes we chatted and he used to tell me little things about what he's doing, you know. And he once told me, you know, sometimes we enter people's home and we put cameras and stuff if we have to. I never asked him about his job. I would just, you know, I didn't want to get him in trouble because I know how they are. And he would just tell me what he thought that he wouldn't get him into trouble, you know, like not secrets, but, you know, little bits and pieces. And another thing about this guy who worked for the secret service is what he told me. I mean, actually, 2 things, important things. One, I'm going to go to the psychiatry part because we were just talking about it. He told me if somebody goes like against the department or he goes crazy, he said crazy because we use crazy in Romania like a general term. If someone goes crazy and he doesn't want to follow orders or, you know, he wants to quit or something, we are just taking him to the psychiatrist, diagnose him as mentally ill, and you know, nobody would believe him because even if he would say, you know, I was working for the secret services, and then he's diagnosed as schizophrenic or paranoid or whatever mental illness they would give him, he wouldn't have credibility, you know. His discernment is actually gone. So they are using that. That was one thing he told me about the psychiatry.
Yeah, they've been using that for decades, and it started actually like in the early 1900s, in the 1800s, when women would complain. They would call them hysterical, right? They would call them hysterical. Why are they hysterical? Because they're being raped by family members. And finally, they would start to speak out. Let's say they would go see a therapist. Finally, gut-wrenching to reveal to the psychiatrist what has been happening. The psychiatrist is going to go to that parent who's been raping them, tell them what's been going on. They get paid under the table. They're going to medicate the hysterical young woman and institutionalize her literally for the rest of her life.
Yeah, because
so this is what they do. They have been discrediting women's accountings of physical abuse for decades, a century, okay? With regards to schizophrenia, again, it is a concocted, in some areas, It is a defense mechanism. Is a defense mechanism a mental illness? No. It's a behavior. It's a self-protective behavior when somebody's under stress, when somebody's experienced trauma, sort of like a post-traumatic stress symptom. People do not become schizophrenic in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You don't become schizophrenic then. You don't develop a personality disorder in your 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. You just don't. As far as bipolar disorder goes, well, bipolar disorder is something that they concocted. Why? Because Wi-Fi exposure, the ingestion of ridiculous amounts of sugar, hormones, chemicals, nitrites, it's making people crazy when they're up against a computer screen. Kids are going to sleep with their cell phones, all day long. They go to school, they're bathed in Wi-Fi, and it affects their central nervous system. It makes them nuts. They can't fall asleep at night.
Yeah, but the system is not at fault. The people are at fault, They're mentally ill. It's not the system who is poisoning them and who's killing them and who's creating all these disturbances, if you can call them that way, in the brain and in the whole body chemistry. Is something wrong, a screw loose, just takes a few pills and you'll be fine. So it's just made up. Everything is just made up to control us, like I said.
It's for profit. And I watched a YouTube video. It was posted on another targeted person's YouTube channel. And there were clips. About a psychologist getting on there and saying that the Diagnosis and Statistical Manual, the DSM, it's a fictional book that psychiatrists get around on an annual basis. They vote in what kinds of mental illnesses are going to get into the book this year. And with a raise of the hand, they'll say, oh, yeah, okay, oppositional, disorder, let's put that in. The kid doesn't want to do his homework. Okay, that's a mental illness. Oh, he's not potty trained by a certain age. That's a mental illness. Oh, they speak out. They don't want to go to church. That's a mental illness. Everything is a mental illness. Okay, and then, well, we've got this great new drug that we're developing.
It's voted, basically. Just voted based on nothing.
It's based on nothing. Yes, and I when I was performing my research on children falsely diagnosed with ADHD, I got so much opposition. It was unbelievable from parents with kids with ADHD.
I believe that, I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. I believe that also ADHD is a made up thing.
It's made up.
I mean, that kid has a lot of energy. You cannot keep him 8 hours sitting still in a chair and give him 5 minutes breaks every hour. Of course, that child is not there to, if you can brainwash him, the same thing, like it happened to you and me and the rest of the targeted individual, most of us, because most of us, we are like smart people and we can't be brainwashed. If you can brainwash us, you just, call us terrorists or mentally ill. Just try to medicate us and institutionalize us if you can.
Well, see, my opinion, again, this is my opinion, and I'll say it for, this is not medical advice, it's not psychiatric advice. It's my opinion based upon experience and research, okay? When children are diagnosed with ADHD, it's a normal developmental childhood behavior. That's one. These days, there's no physical outlet. And I'm going to say, because I'm old, I'm older than you. When I was in grade school, we had something called recess. When we would have our lunch break, we would go out to the yard, the schoolyard, and go out to play. And we were free ranged, like my chickens, We could go out into the backyard and play with whomever we want, another classroom, kids from other classes. And then we would get called back in with a whistle, go back to our classrooms, get our energy out. We could play basketball, we could play handball, we could play hopscotch, we could play jump rope, all during our recess time. We go back into the classroom. We wanted to sit down. Today, kids are getting picked up at the front door with a school bus. My daughter was one of them. Picked up at the front door of the school bus, charted into the classroom. You are forced to sit down. Lunchtime, where do you go? You don't get to go outside. You get to go to the auditorium. You get to go to the gymnasium. You get to sit there, eat your lunch. If you're lucky, they'll let you go to the bathroom. And then you go back to sit in the classroom again. And then you get on the school bus to go home. And most kids end up, maybe they're a latchkey kid, the parents are at work, they let themselves in through the garage door. They go, what do? They go sit in front of their laptop, their computer, a video game, take a snack or two. You know, if a parent's home, it's another story. But our kids are not getting physical exercise. You wonder why they're overweight and unhealthy?
They're not getting the exercise, they are not getting the correct education and care. Because a child, you cannot blame a child for its action. A child needs to be taught, needs to be educated, needs to be cared for. You cannot just let the government take care of it.
Absolutely. And another thing that is causing a lot of behavior disturbances in children is unfortunate. This is not their fault. The divorce rate is extremely high. It's even higher than when I got divorced. Like when I got divorced, I think the divorce rate was around 40% in this country, in the US. Now it's closer in the 60 plus percentage of divorces. If people are getting married, people are deciding to not even marry anymore and cohabit and have children. That's a whole nother story entirely. But children are not only growing up in a divorced home, but they're growing up in blended families. So let's say the mother has 2 children. She meets a guy, he's got a couple of kids. Maybe she's not sure about him yet, but she's blending her kids with his kids. Maybe one of those kids has a problem. You're blending these kids together. One of your kids develops behavior problems because one, they feel neglected. Maybe the boy is jealous of the guy. All kinds of things. Nobody's thinking about the children. I mean, I know when I was dating, I wouldn't even introduce my boyfriends to my daughter until I knew that I was like in a steady relationship. And of course, when, you know, if one ended, it was horrible because she may or may not have gotten attached to that person. This is causing huge problems.
Yeah, and then those kids grow up to be, I don't want to call them stupid because that would be rude. Just call them uneducated and lost, and then they will turn to drugs, they will turn to crimes, they will turn to perps to make easy money, they will turn to whatever.
Yes.
This whole system is designed in such a way to destroy us and to control us and to profit from our suffering.
Yes.
Because if they would imagine a system that cares for you so much that it won't allow you to grow your own food and live off the grid.
It's insanity.
I mean, just think about the contradiction of it. We are here to protect you, but we won't allow you to live off grid.
Right.
Because we want to control you to protect you.
Yes.
I mean, if I can take care of myself, why won't you let me?
Yes.
Because you need me and I don't need you. That's as simple as that. Even with the homeschooling, they were like, oh, you're growing, you're educating your kids at home. They will be freaks and, you know, they will be weird. And nowadays, kids in school identify as cats and as dogs and as whatever else and changing genders. I mean, just think about it, how madness this is. And everybody does the most amazing thing. Everybody just goes along with it. There are a few who aren't, and they are just marginalized, but the majority is just going along with it.
Well, with regard to the going along, get along and stuff, let's talk about some of our perpetrators. Like the mindset of the people that join these organized, community organized groups, these citizen watch groups. And I'm not talking about the true citizen watch groups that actually care for everybody in the community, want to be on the lookout. I'm talking about the little organized crime networks that are paid under the table to harass certain individuals. I mean, I'm looking at it, it's a hate crime.
It is. And it is, I mean, I don't want to, but I have to keep repeating the same thing. It all boils down to the brainwashing and to the education of the person. Because I've seen most, I mean, I can't say most, but a lot of people like perps, or even if they are not perps, but they are accepting money to harass me or harass someone else, these people are like, they see themselves as heroes. They believe in God, they believe in the system, they believe in these indoctrinations, in this brainwashing. And when the perpetrators are recruiting them, they see themselves as heroes. Like,
Yeah.
we are the good guys. Look, I'm from the police. This guy or this girl is a terrorist. I'm going to give you a few bucks when you see it or see them. Just say these numbers or say these sentences because they are so bad and we are so good. So they are delusional and they are see themselves like we said, like heroes. That's why the brainwashing is dangerous, and that's why they don't want us to connect and talk and tell people about it, because we have, as you know, and you studied the psychiatry and psychology, you know that we have neurons, mirror neurons,
Yes, yes,
and we do what we see others doing.
yes.
That's why they want to keep every information, every relevant and helpful information that can help the sheep, you know, have to be silenced and kept hidden. Because otherwise, and also I'm sure you heard about the 100 monkeys effect.
Yes, yes.
You see, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because if I say something, I don't have to explain myself. But I will explain it to people who don't know what 100 monkey effect is. It was a zoo where the monkeys started to wash the fruits. And after a while, other monkeys in the same zoo started to wash the fruits. But after more time, other monkeys in other zoos in other countries started to wash the fruits. So we are all connected somehow through the ether, to this wide energy field we are all living in. So that's why they don't want people like us talking and to become popular, like G-Man, I have 8 million followers, or like Alex Jones, or like, because these people are like gatekeepers and they are just giving you partial. One other thing I have to add, I know I'm mumbling and rambling now, but everything is so important to be explained to people who don't know. Misinformation. What misinformation is? 90% truth and 10% lie. 10% or even 1%, depends on the subject, is the most important part. So they will tell you the truth, and then the most important part is lie.
Yes.
That's what Alex Jones does. That's what Tate does. That's what all these gatekeeper, Joe Rogan, and the rest of the Ben Affleck or whatever his name is, that Jewish guy. That's why these control the positions on social media, these podcasters, they are all paid. They are all controlled. Like I told you, the person who interviewed me before gets paid by the perps. And he has this so-called targeted individual who keeps interviewing, and that guy keeps talking about aliens and entities, and they keep spreading this misinformation and disinformation, partially true and mostly, BS, to manipulate the people. And people like us are getting silenced and killed.
Yes, yes.
That's why it's important to connect to each other, to talk to each other, and that's why it's important people like you and me who speak the same language and understand the same terms to explain the other people what's going on.
Yes.
And how all this works.
Compared to the internet and chat and stuff, we have this back and forth conversation. So if I'm not understanding something you're saying, I could immediately ask you for the feedback. There's a lot of misinterpretation online and infighting because of that. But also with regard to what you're referring to before, there's the 6 degrees of separation. They say that there are only 6 people. You're 6 people away from knowing somebody that somebody else knows that somebody else knows. But also, when people get together and meditate together, the energy, the aura, the energy field that Sabrina Wallace calls it, the biofield around us. I mean, I was trained as it's the energy centers of the body of the chakras. Yes, I'm a Reiki master teacher. I didn't remember to mention that to you. I've studied energy work with my hands. Haven't done it in years since I'm living here, but
that's why directed
all
energy
that
weapons.
energy,
They are attacking our energy fields.
yes, which is why, like, when you meet somebody in person, you can be either attracted. I don't mean like sexually. I mean like you're attracted to them as a person, or you're repelled by them as a person. It's the energy that they're emanating from their bodies. You're getting a connection, or you're not getting a
They
connection.
also call it the global consciousness
Yes,
project.
yes,
They are monitoring it.
yes, and they hate it. They
And
don't.
they see it raising and they see it changing and they don't want it. Because one, I said it before, one of us can defeat 100 or 1,000 of them.
Yes.
Because they are zombified. We are not. And if we are spreading truth and we are explaining the zombies what's going on, and then more zombies are seeing that, hey, those people are quite smart. Let's just subscribe, or let's just follow them, or read their post. And then they see the lie they were told, and the manipulation they've been through, the trauma they've been put through. They might start waking up, and they'll be like, oops, what just happened? I lived my entire life of lie. My parents raped me and tortured me. I shouldn't be tortured, because look, there are millions of people who aren't tortured, who are living better lives, are not going around and stalking strangers for a few pennies.
Right.
That's why we need to educate them.
Well, there's something inherently wrong with someone that has enough time, nothing important to do where they have to follow someone else, physically stalk someone else. I mean, there are peeping Tom laws. There are laws in every state in the United States anti-stalking, laws, and yet the Department of Justice doles out money each year for these community groups with no oversight. Half of these community groups are performing the quote-unquote the gangstalking, the organized stalking.
That's true, but you know, they are getting away with stalking. You know how? I'll explain. When a person is following you more than, let's say, a dozen times, then you can say it's stalking. If you see that person in the city 3 or 4 times, you can call it coincidence, right?
Yes.
That friend of mine, former friend of mine who used to work for the Secret Services, explained me that when he tried to discredit me. So listen to this. He said, okay, you are being followed, right? How many times do you need to meet someone before you call it stalking? I said, I don't know. He said, okay, let's say you live in a small city. You go to the supermarket, you meet that person. You go to the gas station, you meet that person. It's coincidence a few times. But after that, it's not a coincidence. It's stalking. This is what they did. They are not pushing the limit of coincidence. They are sending a person to harass you 1, 2, 3 times. And then they sending the next person. And the next person. And the next person. So when you are going to, let's say you are going to the police and you say, these 5 people harassed me today because all of them said the same number, all of them wore the same shirt, or all of them did the same thing. They say, okay, that's a coincidence. There is no way 5 people from 5 different sides of the town, or probably some of them are not even from the town because they are moving around cities. So it's not possible that 5 people from different places, they all know you and they all harass you, so you're mentally ill. You see what they did?
Yes.
So you can gather, I mean, you can gather evidence because you can use a camera and record them. And we know how it works. The sensitization and the NLP, But when you try to prove it, it's difficult to prove it because it was designed in such a way because they made the laws, right? So they worked around the laws. They made the laws, and then they design the program around the laws. And in, like we discussed before, in conjunction with the secret services, with the military, with the psychiatric industry, with the police, with all of these are Freemasons. They are all working together. They are all interconnected.
Yes.
And that's why they designed a system, like, say, let's say the religion. They designed the religion, they told you what to believe, what's right and what's wrong. And then if you don't do as they are telling you, they can punish you. Exactly the same thing. They designed criteria for the mental illness, and they are doing the same thing. They are mimicking the same criteria. So once you are trying to explain people, look, this is harassment, this is not mental illness, you'll go to the same police officer who's probably a Freemason, or to the same doctor who's probably working for the Freemason or is a Freemason. You'll explain that, and he will give you the arguments that I just gave you, you know, and he will discredit you. And you have nothing to say. I mean, what can you say? Nothing. And that's why I said in my book, shut the hell up.
Oh, this is his book, by the way, for anybody. I don't know if you could see it here.
You can see it. That's why I said at the end of my book, shut up until you don't have enough proof, enough evidence to talk about it, to show it, or at least you can explain it, then you can talk about it. Because if you can explain it, you will be forcibly medicated. And then they will destroy your brain, and then
It doesn't even matter if you explain
finish,
it.
over.
You can provide evidence, and they're still going to discredit you.
Or
You
they
know,
will
there's-
delete the evidence, hack your devices, or go into your house.
Yes, yes. They
I
go
have
into your
evidence destroyed.
distort what they distort your lifestyle. It doesn't matter. Like, oh, I could tell you story after story what happened in New Jersey and what's going on here. But why don't we? I was saying that for the people that are kind of new to being targeted, what are some of the early warning signs that you have experienced to let you know that you are being watched, that somebody was in your house? What are some of the things that you experienced?
Well, you experience everything. You just don't know how to explain it. Let's say the early signs.
Like early in the beginning, like in the beginning.
First of all of them, it's the loss of privacy. And strangers giving you clues and saying things you spoke to someone. Let's say, for example, give you a concrete example. I was talking to this girl in England, and I was in the Netherlands, and she moved houses, and she sent me a picture of her new place, and she had a nice view from her window, you know, from her room, from her window. And then when I went to the bus to go to work, was another girl sitting in the bus behind me, and she said to a girl next to her, like regular conversation, "Oh, look, the picture from my window, I have such a nice view." Like the same thing I spoke to that girl. I mean,
Yeah.
how would a complete stranger in the bus in the Netherlands know what I spoke to that girl in England? That's one, and the most important. You will hear that a lot at the beginning. The second, your friends and strangers will give you clues that they know what you are thinking about, because they can read your thoughts. They could do it like 30, 40 years ago. They can read and manipulate your dreams as well. So, go into that. They will give you clues. I was in Hong Kong, and I moved in with this girl. She was alone. Her mother was working in China. And she had quite a big head. So I'm not going to lie. But I couldn't say that in her face, because she was like amazing. You know, she was smart. She was very well educated. She was very ambitious. She was friendly with me. And I mean, she was a nice girl, like overall. But she had a big head. And, you know, when you see a feature to a person, you cannot hide it. You think it to yourself. But, you know, if you see someone has nice eyes, you say you have nice eyes. But if you see someone with a big head, you don't say you have a big head. And you just thinking to yourself. And It was during the night. It was about bedtime. She was sleeping in her room, me in my room. She had the spare room I was renting from her. And she had this like a band-aid over her head. And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Oh, I have a big head." Uh, and I was like, okay, never mind. That's weird, you know? And, people will keep giving you clues like this.
Yeah.
Other time I was thinking about, because I'm a chef, I'm a qualified chef. I
Oh,
studied,
know that.
catering and hospitality. And I
Nice.
was thinking to open my own place and how to promote it. And I was thinking like, the smell of the food attracts more people than the marketing, you know? And the next few days, one of the people who lived in the same house with me gave me the same clue. He was like, "Yeah, we all know that smell helps sell food or things like that." That's the second thing, which if you will say someone these things, like to a police officer or to a psychiatrist, you will get medicated. And then the third most important thing is the bullying.
Yes, harassment. Yes.
The bullying from colleagues, the bullying from friends, the bullying from everybody, then the harassment, and then moving on to the rest of tactics and techniques and device hacking and online harassment, and then losing your accounts because they'll change the passwords or taking
Yes.
over your groups and stuff. Slowly, then ruining the relationship, and slowly, going towards the suicide, because that's the purpose of this, at the
Yes.
the end goal. But these are the three most important parts: people talking about you, reading, giving you clues that what you were thinking about or what you was talking about with people, and then the bullying, the harassment, and then it slides down from there into the
Yes.
abyss.
Yes.
Well,
I-
how about you? How did you realize that?
Well, now of course, I lived in New Jersey, so there. This is going to sound really bad, but there can be a lot of rude people, like in New Jersey, naturally. But it turns out that there were more and more rude people cutting me off on the road, parking next to me, photographing me at the post office, being nasty when I approach them and ask them why they're photographing me.
I saw that too. Just to add that, a lot of people with their phones taking pictures.
Yeah, it was just very bizarre behavior. And then my cats were starting to get really sick, like just dying, healthy cats. And I would bring them to the vet. Sometimes the vet wouldn't know what was wrong. There were the constant U-turns in front of my car, people following me, photographing me. There would be times I would come home, from going out at night or whatever, going out to eat, and there would be a car parked facing my driveway with like a bunch of people in there. And I knew that they were watching me somehow. Sometimes it would be a bunch of women. I just automatically assumed that it was, I call them the feral cat cartel. There was a group of women in New Jersey that also had nonprofits, or allegedly had nonprofits. They rescue cats and stuff. They were very jealous of the work that I was doing, and they were literally stealing my cats and placing them online for adoption so that they can collect some money. It was very sadistic. So I just assumed that these people that were parked facing my driveway were part of their little sadistic club. Unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that I was now being surveilled for a program. There was another time I went to feed my feral cats that lived outside. I had written permission to feed them. And I pulled up to the place that I usually feed them. And there was a car parked there taking notes on me, watching everything that I did, taking notes. Then other things started happening. I noticed that my trees that were really luscious and that I cared for, I'm a gardener. I'd lived there for a long time. And I really had some of the prettiest landscaping on the block. Even by landscaper standards, they would always say, your landscaping is so beautiful. And I noticed that plants were suddenly dying. Specifically trees. I had a tree in each corner of the yard, one in the middle, one in the front, on the sides. And then, like every year, another tree would die that I would have to have it cut down. And I was literally the only person on the block that had a landscaper. I had a tree guy. You know, every 3 years I'd have him come and just top off my trees, make them look nice and everything. So I really cared well for the trees. So it's just bizarre that all of my trees were dying. Every one of them, from every corner of the yard, every middle. By the time I moved, they were all gone, except for one tree. So that was another thing. And another thing was, you know, I rescued cats. So I would socialize them. I get them trapped, spayed and neutered, and they would recover in my house in a pet carrier. They would be fine. I would go out, I'd come back, and they would be afraid. They would be fearful. Sometimes I would walk in the house and I wouldn't see any of my cats. And then I'd go looking for them, and they would all be huddled under a big chair in the corner of the family room. It still didn't occur to me, like my mind, like the cognitive dissonance, because I had a security system. I had cameras. I had a house alarm. How could somebody be getting in and out of my house and I wouldn't get alerted, you know, to my phone, to a text message? How is it possible? Then I noticed that things would be out of place. I would find things from my attic in my office. My eye makeup pencils would end up with my pens in my office. I noticed deterioration. Like I noticed like the paint on the border of my molding was crumbling. Like with a heat gun. I found out later that somebody said that somebody's using a heat gun on your molding. There would be urine. I have videos of this online on my channel. Meg's B, who interviewed me years ago, compiled something, and they were pouring urine underneath my stove burners. It wasn't really urine. I don't know what it was. It was a yellow substance. But they wanted to make it appear as if my cats were doing this. And this is like a sudden thing. I've had cats my whole life. They're very well behaved and socialized and stuff, but they were pouring urine under things. And then I noticed that my clothing would disappear. I would pull out clothing, and some of them would have holes in them. They would be turned inside out. A lot of clothing would be just suddenly turned inside out. I purchased, you know, I like to save money by purchasing things in bulk. So I purchased this really big container of laundry detergent. It was in between my washer and my dryer. And I went to reach for it to fill up another container. It was empty, like there was this much in it. I never opened it. And then I go to clean my floors and urine would be in my bucket with my mop. I went to make my bed one day. I had these beautiful, and I've mentioned this on my channel, I have these beautiful Monet signature bed sheets, king size, very expensive, right? I go to make my bed. I can't find the top sheet. I always keep all the sheets together, laundry, the linen closet, can't find it. I don't know how long later. I go to grab a rag from my laundry room and cut up with my towels was that bed sheet. Somebody had torn it to shreds and stacked it in with my rags.
What you are describing, it's exactly almost sentence by sentence to Dr. Ronnie Kilde's book.
Really?
I even made a video because I tried to buy the whole book, but I couldn't find it. And I found a chapter 18, I think it is, and
Yes,
I made a video about it because that one was freely all over the place, and I made a video about it, like an audio. I took the text and I converted it into audio, so I know what you are telling me. I read down there exactly the same thing. Exactly the same
it's
thing.
endless.
What you have. Yeah, the list is like, the video is like half an hour, and imagine how much it is. All the, how do you call it, people who are doing maintenance are being recruited.
Yes, it's called
People on the roads are being recruited, like what you said with the cars. Like everything you said is in that book. What I wanted to say regarding the NGOs, there's always multiple reasons for what they are doing. First, it's money. Second, it's sabotage. What they are doing with NGOs, they are copycatting, like word by word, action by action, what people are doing, not necessarily targeted individuals, even regular people who don't know what's happening to them, or they don't even know what gangstalking is. They are copycatting everything. They are making their own companies, NGOs or companies, applying for grants, for loans, for all this type of stuff, stealing identities from people, making fake companies, pocketing the money, and moving on to the next scam.
Yes, that's a good point.
And when you see that they are doing the same thing what you are doing, they did the same thing to me. When I would see someone do the same thing that I'm doing, I would stop doing it. I don't know, like a defensive mechanism. And let's give you an example. I wanted to open a fresh juice bar in Denmark because I was working in Denmark, and it was like a street food place. You know what street food is? Something similar to the Christmas markets.
Yes.
But it's just permanent. It's just there, like little places with all sorts of finger food and fast food and stuff, food stands. Yeah, and I went there because that business doesn't take too much money to start. You can, literally do it with limited budget, and you can even do it like one-man army. And I wanted to open a juice place, like fresh juice bar, in this place. And I went there. I saw what's going on around. I analyzed the thing. I saw what's missing, what could go on. And then I was thinking, oops, I'm going to save some money. And then I, probably start doing my own thing. A few weeks later, the juice bar was there. So basically, stealing my idea, like to monetize, one. Second, to sabotage you. Because if they open that bar just before you, you won't go there and open another one, right?
I've had that happen here.
So the same thing, if you are rescuing cats in an area of 50 kilometers, I speak in kilometers because 50 miles, there are only a number of cats in that 50 miles you can save in that radius. So if there is another cat rescue, probably you kind of in their way, because if you are there, you can apply for the loans, you can apply for the grants, you can do the things they are doing, and you are first competing with them because they saw the money, the opportunity to cash in. That's the main reason. And the second main reason, you can call it main, is to sabotage you as a victim.
Yes.
Because at some point they said, we don't want what you have. We want you to have nothing.
Right.
Because the main purpose is for the victim to commit suicide.
That's what they want. Because from what I understand, that these criminals have taken life insurance policies out on us, that they're going to bank on our death. But many of us have family members, children, and stuff, and I mean it's very nefarious. It's very nefarious. I don't know how do you go about proving that somebody has taken a life insurance policy out on you? I don't know. I
Well,
don't
there
know.
are thousands of insurance companies. How can you check them all? You
It's
can't.
impossible. And how are you going to find out?
And they have people inside the, because these parasites are spread all over the place and all
Yes.
over the world. And they are
Yes.
committing a lot of fraud. Because even if someone gets caught, probably they are, committing a fraud of few millions. They may be caught on one case or two cases,
Yes.
even if they go to jail for a little time, and then their pockets are full.
Yes.
The main reason is the money, and the second main reason is to sabotage and destroy the victim.
Yes.
And then the third reason is to control, because like I put in my book and in my first interview, they have multiple purposes. The military industrial complex is developing the weapons. The criminality rate grows in the area, and the people are and the
you're not promoting your own book here. Promote your own book.
Yeah. The police is cashing in because the criminality is rising in the area. The psychiatry industry can make new diseases and new medications. The pharma is making new pills. The doctors are also cashing in and the hospitals when you are, over there. So I put it in my last articles, on my website, the dangerous sides of antipsychotics.
What is the name of your website?
DeleteTheNewWorldOrder.com.
What is it?
Delete the NWO.com.
Oh, delete the New World Order. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was the Gangstalking Attention Awareness.
Yeah, that's my my YouTube channel.
Okay.
But what I did with the website, you can sign in and you can go in and see. What I tried to do with the website, I made 3 categories. One, it's non-conspiracies, which I will write about everything that's going on in the world. Like food shortages and mind control and the harmful side effects of medication, predictive programming, like try to disconnect as many slaves from the matrix. And then the second thing, I'll focus on mind control mainly, like gangstalking and tactics and solutions. And the third, it's doing something educational for the people to become self-sufficient.
Yes, yes.
Kind of homesteading, but not homesteading. I wrote an article about different types of garden beds, raised garden beds. I wrote an article about different kind of, how do you call them? My brain now. It's here. Greenhouses. 7 types of greenhouses. So what I'm trying to do overall with the website is educate people about the world we live in first, with the non-conspiracy category. And then this mind control, help them to disconnect from the system. And then with the self-sufficient category, it's helped them become self-sufficient. Which I took on like 3 full-time jobs. That's 3 categories, plus the marketing, plus the social media. So basically, I'm doing 5 people's jobs in my spare time. I mean, how much can one man do? Plus, I have a full-time job, which is not a regular job. I'm working sometimes 12, 15 hours a day, which is one job, 8-hour job or 9-hour job, plus a part-time job. So how much? I mean, I do as much as I can, but I'm only one-man army.
One more. Maybe you need to have a cooking channel.
I mean, cooking channel too, but I was thinking about it, but it's too much.
It's a lot, yeah.
I can't even, how to explain it. I wrote an article about how to stay safe online. I put all the elements to monetize it. And when I applied to the companies to monetize it, I wasn't accepted. So now
Really?
I have to, yeah, I spend a week writing the article, making the video, explaining everything. And then now when I try to monetize it, I can.
There
I'm
must be
being,
some words in there that they don't like.
well, when they heard about delete the New World Order and they are all New World Order, nobody wants me.
Probably. They
So
don't like
I have to do it more like a side hustle. I have to try to find other ways to monetize it. I have a merch shop. I'm selling, even this personalized T-shirt. I don't know how much you can see.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see. I see.
And but nobody bought anything yet. So what I'm trying to do with the website is, and with this sentence I will end and can continue to something else. I want to do this as a full-time job to help people, but so far it's unsuccessful. Maybe in a year or two I might be able to earn enough commissions from selling products or recommending products to be able to sustain myself, so I can do it full-time.
I hear
Because
you.
with my part-time writing articles when I have time, and that first, I don't have enough content to monetize, and second, I don't have enough time to monetize. But I'm building it in the spare time, and hopefully in the near future, I'm going to transfer from driving trucks to writing articles and helping people and interviewing people and explaining it, like do a whole lot to help people, those who want to be helped. At least.
Yes. I think a part of the challenge, like with within the targeting community, is that so many people have been financially, literally raped, financially destroyed. They don't have the extra income to, purchase additional. They're too busy, getting their shielding, paying for their shielding, their security, then to purchase, other things that they might enjoy, T-shirts and stuff like that. I know that there are some things that I'd like to buy that I can't. So I think that's a big challenge. And I also feel like most of the targeting YouTube channels are somewhat shadow banned. I even tried to locate one of my own videos with the exact title, and it wouldn't populate. I couldn't find it. I had to actually go into my own
Channel
search to search for my video, but I couldn't do it through YouTube. So if I can't find my own video through YouTube with the exact wording of the title, then other people are not going to find it either.
I had people commenting on my channel and saying I had to scroll all the way down to the bottom to find this video.
Yes.
They won't let me. I don't know if you saw my video from yesterday. They won't let me monetize my YouTube channel. I made a video yesterday showing every comment, about 10 videos, what everybody has to say, that it helped them, saved their life. They are going through this and that. Everybody agreeing with me, thanking me. And YouTube classified my YouTube channel as harmful. I mean, helping people is harmful to them.
I know.
Harmful to the system who's trying to kill the people. They are not harmful to the victims, but they are not saying that. That's the life we live. That's why they want us, like I said, with the 100 monkey effect.
Yes.
With everything we discussed so far, with the mirror neurons, with everything, they want us silenced.
They want us silenced. They want to silence the truth, and
they don't want us connecting and talking. And
yes. I've noticed that some of the larger YouTube creators, and I'm not saying in the targeting community, the larger YouTube creators, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. They've been around having their own homestead in Missouri for the last, I think they said 12 or 13 years, 14 years. They've got 11 acres of land. They teach people how to live off the grid, but I would say that within the last few months, most of their videos have been about these topics and warning people about what's to come. And they even got a warning. And some
for
other
what's to come, we can talk for like another week for what's to come.
Yes.
So, and they are shadow banning them too, or what? Sorry, I interrupt you. What you were going to say about that?
There's just a lot of other YouTube creators, not within the targeted community, within the homesteading and farming community that are now speaking out because it directly affects everybody. There's this Riverside Homestead who's been speaking out about the food, the tainted food. Patrick Humphrey has been speaking out. He even started talking about directed energy weapons in one of his videos, and so did Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. What are the others? The Max, MACS. They're getting on there. MD Creekmore, who wrote a book. He's a homesteader, prepper, whatever. All these prepper channels, they're all starting to speak out, but they're on the tip of the iceberg because as targeted people, we know what's really going on behind all of this.
We know exactly how they are going to control everyone.
Exactly. We're the test subjects, and what they're doing to us is just off the charts. And Sabrina Wallace and Dr. Eric Karlstrom have been doing some phenomenal compilations between her computer network engineering experience. She claims that we, targeted people, and all the people of the US will eventually be a node on a network. So you know the way like my laptop is hooked up to my printer,
like the Tor network. You have different nodes connected and forming like a spider web across.
Yes. But we, all us, the targeted individuals, we are a node on their network. And they're playing us like with a Sims card. They're sitting back, they're like manipulating our limbs, they're manipulating our brain. Okay, let's see it today. She spoke out too much. Let's just zap her in the left side of her head like yesterday where I had
Brian too was saying the same thing. Brian Coffran, another one, was saying the same thing what you are saying.
Yes, Brian Coffran, he discussed the social engineering, behavior modification aspects of the program. And Sabrina Wallace talks about us being nodes on networks as a computer network engineer. People are feeding her information. And Dr. Eric Karlstrom, he's compiling all the gang stalking, the home break-ins, the satanic underbelly, agenda cults are involved in all this. So this is
you see the people you are talking about. I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes, go
ahead. Trying to make it like I said too. I'm sorry I'm not being rude. To complete something. These people you are talking about, they warned us for years. And nobody listened. Nobody. Now, if you go on YouTube, or I'm not even sure if it's on TV already, they have their own puppets, like that guy from Israel, Professor Yuri something.
Is that the Noah Harari?
That one, the skinny guy, the gay guy.
He's a nut. I'm telling you.
He's already telling people what people you are talking about. The people you were saying about warned us for years.
Yes.
They are now going public with the information, and the people are still zombified that they don't care.
Yes.
They are coming and tell you we are too many. We are going to kill you. We are the humans are hackable animals. Klaus Schwab said you are going to have a microchip in your brain and you are going to be connected to a computer. It's out in the public, and people are still like zombified. Oh.
Part of the reason is they have been traumatized over the last few years. It started with 9/11. People were traumatized after 9/11. It took people years.
That's when everything accelerated.
Everything's been accelerated between social media, the impact of social media, obviously with the last 3 years with the we can't say it.
Yes, we better don't. Everybody knows what we are talking about.
That's what it is. Jabby wabby, that whole 2.5 year period that's now extending. It's growing into this season.
We're planning the season 2.
It's season 2, part 2, 2.0.
Part 2 of the show. Yes.
But that ultimately was staying at home for some people was torture. Didn't bother me one bit. I was like, stay away from me. You could wear your face mask. There's no way I'm putting that on my face. That's not going to happen. Like I'll carry it around my neck in case I go into town and somebody gets on my case or whatever. But no, I'm not wearing that nonsense.
It didn't bother me because I never got tested. I never got that. And I was lucky because I'm a truck driver. And first they said, okay, we are going to force the drivers to follow the same bullshit. And then they said, no, we won't, because if we are messing with the drivers, with the truck drivers, everything is going to stop. So he said, okay, leave the truck drivers alone. So I was coming in and out from the country with the truck. Nobody asked me anything. They didn't even stop me. I was crossing to Europe through all the countries. Nobody asked me anything. Nobody tested me. Nobody. I was like a free man. For me, it was like it never existed. The only thing that existed was the mask when I went shopping for groceries. But other than that, for me, it was like it never existed.
Yes. Well, people were traumatized during that time. A lot of people lost work. They didn't go back to work. They had to change the dynamics of their family household. They have bills to pay. There are a lot of people that couldn't pay their mortgages. They're homeless now. The homeless population is crazy through the roof.
Yeah, the homeless is through the roof and the houses are sitting empty.
Yes. Who can afford them? And, people, of course, when things were good, they were buying houses that were huge. Huge heating bills, electric bills, bigger than they actually need. And now, like, they can't afford to even pay those bills. It's a real problem. All of the bills are growing exponentially. The cost of food is through the roof.
Talking about food and housing, I don't know if you heard about, probably you did because you're into homesteading, about the tiny house community.
Yes.
And the vegetarian agenda.
Yes.
And the green agenda. I felt for all of that back in 2012, 13, when it all started. Well, it started before, but when everything started to, take off. What I did with let's talk about the global warming because we are still here. First, the vegetarian agenda is part of the depopulation agenda where we are now, where they are trying to kill all the cows and everything. The tiny house community, it's where we are now, where people can't afford to buy. You see, people are jumping on these trends, and I did personally too, because I thought it's a good idea. I didn't saw the whole picture. When I saw the whole picture, after I got divorced and alone, I had time to put my life together. And I was caught into these new trends with the global warming, vegetarian. I didn't eat meat for a few years. I was all, to save the planet. But instead of sticking my hands with glue to the road and destroying expensive paintings, I was looking for solutions. That's when I became the favorite targeted individuals for these parasites. Because the same concept of the business, if you have this product, I don't know if you can see it, it's a remote control. If you have this product and you sell it to one person, you make with $1, you make $1. If you sell it to 100 people, you make $100, so on and so forth. So I was looking to open my own business and make my own stuff. And I was caught into this save the planet thing, global warming. I didn't know it's not real. And I was looking for solutions. I invented the free energy generator. They stole that idea for me and tried to kill me for that. Many were killed about the free energy generators. I was looking about the food problem. I came across vertical farming. I didn't invent vertical farming. It was already there. On the food category, I came across permaculture. Well, permaculture covers everything. Probably you are into homesteading. I was looking for water. I came across water desalination, which is one solution. It's viable, but they say it's not. Plus, the water is regenerable. It's not running out. We are not running out of water. Then I was looking for solution to get rid of carbon dioxide, is called, right? The whatever, CO2. I came up with the idea to build like a big filter to suck the pollution. I think that idea was originally mine. And then someone built that same thing in China, where I was thinking to go and build it. The same thing they did with the fruit juice business.
Yes.
And then after a few years, I saw the same idea develop. And after I did all the research into global warming, and I came across all the solutions, it hit me. I was like, and then they hit me to try to kill me, to steal all these ideas and solutions for me. And then I got hit by the ground, and the world is like, wait, it's not global warming? Because we have all the solutions. Why aren't we working on it and implementing it? It's just propaganda. And then in 2008, I came across the financial system being a hoax, and I started to connecting all the dots, And they don't want me talking, because every time I open my mouth, I expose them. And they're trying so hard to keep me quiet, like so hard. And they are paying every single person that came into contact with me to harass me, and they are telling lies about me. They are so, like, they probably spend millions and millions on me just to keep me quiet. And
on the defamation alone, it's one thing between the break-ins and the pet harm and stuff, but the defamation, the lies that they spread in communities, and part of it is, I think that when they're surveilling us, they're taking little bits and pieces of our lives, and it's like the lies of omission. So like you'll have a sentence, right? You'll have a little sentence, and then they take out select words, so it completely changes. It changes the meaning of the sentence, and that's what they do with spreading rumors in the community. They'll take they just distort all the good stuff. Like
they are distorting, and they are reformatting the sentences and the paragraph. Like I said, let's have the chit chat, and they twist it, and they said, "I want you to interview me."
Yeah, like in New Jersey, one of the police incident report, the Manalapan police told me in an incident report, a cat lady.
I told you, crazy cat lady.
How do you even know I have one cat? Where did you get that from? I've got a 501c3 nonprofit cat rescue, but how do you know that I have a cat rescue? And how do you know that I even have one cat? And how do you have the audacity to write that in an incident report?
Yeah, because they they are trying hard to make you look bad and crazy.
Exactly. They didn't write down that, oh yeah, she's got a master's in psychology, or that she keeps an impeccable.
No, they will leave that out.
No, none of that. No, it's all about discrediting.
It is. And it's all done with the collaboration of stupid people. I have to say stupid, because I don't feel I'm being rude here. I think I'm being honest and real. Because isn't that the red flag when somebody comes to you and offers you money to say something or do something? Isn't that obvious?
Obvious.
I mean, an honest person won't go to you and give you money to do something.
Absolutely. I actually witnessed, I don't know if I ever told you this, I actually witnessed two of those thugs, guys in suits, going door to door in my neighborhood when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive in Manalapan. They were going door to door, talking to my neighbors, looking back at me, like snaring at me. And it's like, well, no, they never came to my house to talk to me. So here I actually witnessed it. I witnessed them going door to door, speaking to my neighbors. What could they have possibly said? I lived next door to some of these neighbors for 15 and 20 years.
You are going to like what I have to say now.
Yes. Yeah.
Talking about the same guy who works for the Secret Services.
Yeah.
We have a acquaintances, because I know him, but I'm not friend with him. We all grew up playing Counter-Strike when we were kids in the internet cafe. You know how back in the day were a lot of computers and kids were gathering to play computer games. So we know each other. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We used to play Counter-Strike together. And somehow this guy who worked for the Secret Services was my friend. He was like one of my good friends. And the other guy helped him to go work for the Secret Services. And he said, you know that guy, I won't say his name, Cutter, that doesn't matter. I say his name, Catalin, that's his name. He said, you know, fuck them. And the secret services, so I'm going to expose them. He said, you know, Catalin, he's old. I mean, he's working for longer with them. And he's already progressed to the stage where he goes and talks to people and acts and pretends to be somebody and something else.
Yes.
Sometimes he's dressing up like a police officer. Sometimes he's dressing in suits. He's saying he's a private investigator. Sometimes he's dressing as a, I don't know, drug dealer and goes and talks. Whatever the mission is to discredit that target and to smear that target, he's kind of an actor. He's already trained to perform and trick people into same thing like you said. In your case, they went in suits. In other case, they are going in clowns. Because in other case, they are going like dressed like police officers. And that's what they are doing. So
Well,
yeah, I can confirm what you just said.
Now, if let's say one of these goons approached you, wouldn't you want to know their identity? Wouldn't you want a business card? Wouldn't you want them to prove to you who they were?
But they have fake IDs.
Well, fake
The
ID.
CIA, the CIA.
Say, okay, well, you know what? I'll talk. Let me take your information, and I'll get back to you.
When people see the money, they forget about everything.
I don't know about that. That would be.
I tell you, because they are spending a lot of money. I was in Germany. I was walking by like a main street, like a high street, with a lot of shops and everything. And just between like a side road was this fast food. And I went there. I was alone on the whole street with the fast food. I bought something to eat. I sat down, and 20 minutes later, just about when I finished my meal, the perp came. He showed his phone to the fast food worker, and he said, if you read this text, I give you 300 euros for reading a text, like 2-3 sentences. And the guy working there just looked at me, and then he looked at the phone, and then he asked 300, and then that guy, the perp, said, yeah, I give you 300 if you just read the text. And then he read the text from the perp's phone, and then I sat up and left, you know. But probably after that, he gave him the money, because I didn't witness give him the money. But I'm working in Germany for years. I don't speak German, but I understand a little bit, and especially when it's about money and that. So imagine if a fast food worker got paid $300, 300 euros or dollars to read 2 sentences from a phone. How much your neighbors get paid?
It's more than he makes in a week.
More than probably in a month.
Well, yeah.
I was working for this company where the person who I was working with, sometimes he harassed me. And one of my colleagues said, oh, I bet Robert was his name. I bet Robbie is happy you are working for such a long time for him. I mean, I was like, I try to pretend that I'm stupid, you know. And I said, yeah, because I didn't go home for such a long time. I made so many miles, and of course I'm making money for the company. And he started smear laughing like that. He said, yeah. But he meant Robbie gets paid by the perpetrators to collaborate with them.
So in
yeah, that's why the neighbors are seeing the money, and they are like, okay, I don't care about anything else.
Well, they've got no soul. You know, they sold their soul to the devil. Just the way, you know, the music industry, you know, they want their fame and fortune, and yet they're going to be tortured for the rest of their lives. And you know, these criminals are going to off them. I mean, look at how they offed Michael Jackson, they offed Prince, they offed.
They're all in the same club.
Yeah, it's all the same.
It's all part of the same thing. I heard
exactly.
I heard the targeted individual who was like a music producer saying that they stole his music, and then he saw his song played by some other singer.
Yes.
And imagine if you, who are nobody, are going to say that Jay-Z stole my song. You will be called crazy.
Right.
But they are all in it. They are all like parasites, stealing and taking everything from people and killing the victims. That's why I call them parasites, because that's what the parasites do.
That's what
They
parasites.
they move into the host, they consume the host, and then they fight another host. That's why I call them parasites, because that's what they are. And
We need to cut the parasites from the planet. So we need to
yeah, because they say, "Ah, you calling us name?" No, I'm not calling you name. I'm describing what you're doing.
yes,
It's just
we're
unbelievable.
behavior.
And all this gang stalking, it's connected to the police, it's connected to the FBI, it's connected to the music industry, it's
Yes.
connected to the psychiatry, to the hospitals. This whole system, it's basically run by the Jesuits and the Jews. And the Freemasons are the foot soldiers of the Jesuits and the Jews. Because if you look into their symbologies and into their logos, they all have the same logos. If it's a Freemason and it's promoted, it gets the same cross. You will find it in the Roman Empire, which is the Jesuits. If someone in the army gets promoted, you'll see the same, those four like arrows, like a cross, red cross, and inverted cross, and crosses, and they all have these symbologies. If you look for them, you will see that the same thing the Freemason has, the Freemasonry are connected to the Jesuits, are connected to the Templars, are connected to the Jews, with the Star of David, with the All-Seeing Eye. Everything is a big club, like Carling said. It's a big club.
Yes,
and everything is connected. We are just slaves to them. But the most annoying thing is they are happy to sell their soul and to be used and abused. And they are passing down to their children, they're passing down to the rest of the slaves. And this whole system is based on parasitic behavior, if you can call it that way.
It is. And it's not only parasitic behavior, it's many of the people, particularly at the top of the globalists, the people, the controllers, they're not quite human anymore. And they're psychopaths. They're literally distorted. They have distorted thoughts. Their brains are literally different than ours. I mean, we'll divide it up between the psychopaths and the empaths, okay? It's not that clear of a delineation. I mean, not everybody's an empath. But, the regular people will call empaths because we care about humanity.
Yeah, for the sake of the conversation.
Yeah.
Keep it into two groups, yeah.
Yes. So, and they're not normal. They don't care about humanity. They don't care. They look at us as cattle. They look at us as objects.
They're broken.
Yes, and they're bored. They're bored, so they want to. It's almost like we're pieces on a chess game, and they want to move us around and just control us that way. Like it's a game to them. And in some of these higher levels of these affluent people, they do get very bored. They don't socialize with the regular people. So that's even more boring that they've got to socialize amongst their own class. Could you imagine how torturous that's got to be? So they need to entertain themselves. And what do they entertain themselves with? They've got the best cars, the best food, they've got maids, they don't have to work. They entertain themselves with us. And they play us. They play games with us to humor themselves.
Yeah, because nobody will do anything to them.
They're faceless. We don't even know who some of them are.
They even have child trafficking rings, where in those places where they keep the children, they have doctors, they have nurses, they have everything. So these people are so sick that they are basically going there, paying a large amount of money, raping a child, and then kill the child.
Yes, we have to be careful.
And then when he's done, the whole team moves in, takes the child, breaks him apart, and then sells the organs.
Yes.
And this just when they have so much money, and like you said, we are like cattle to them. We are like nothing, nobodies.
No, and there's no consequences. The thing is, there are no consequences to any of their actions.
Not because this whole system is based on money, and if they have the money to pay, they can get away with everything.
Yeah, there were a few people out there that got the consequences. I'm not even going to say their names because I don't even know if that's like a trigger. But do you remember the time when a lot of the female actresses were coming forward about the unwanted behaviors of this producer that begins with the letter W?
Yeah, I know.
You know, so eventually he ended up in prison. So, you know, maybe he was the sacrificial lamb in that industry. Maybe they had no choice but to get him in prison because so many people came forward.
Well, maybe if so many people came forward, and those people, when they were abused, they didn't have any power, and then the time passed by, and then they, you know, all came together and stuff. Yes, but that's very rarely happening.
Yes,
because everybody knows that Hollywood is like a sex cult and pedophilia cult.
Well,
So everybody knows you want to go up to the ladder, you have to go to few beds before you are getting up. Otherwise, you just won't get the roles, won't get the money.
Yes. There are many celebrities that have come forward and stated that if they didn't do something in particular, that they weren't going to get the next movie deal. And one that I just watched recently was a guy who said, they wanted me to do X and I didn't get another movie deal for another 2 years. I was out of business. I was out of work for 2 years. So they can literally destroy, the way they do us, destroy your career, even though they
talking about
millions of dollars.
Talking about famous people, Dave Chappelle. Everybody knows Dave Chappelle, especially you are in the US. He went through the same thing that we are going through. Just even when he went to the Oprah interview and he explained it to someone from the outside wouldn't understand, but I understood him what he said.
Yes.
And he said, "You don't talk to me about me." Sounds familiar to you?
Yeah.
When somebody is telling you something like that you would want to do, but that's putting themselves in your shoes, somehow giving you clues about, you know, what you want to do. And then add something in, but I wouldn't do this because of that. Or manipulation. Covert manipulation. That's exactly what Dave Chappelle explained. What else he explained? He said, it's not that, that's exactly my case too. It's not that I don't want the money, because he was offered $50 million for a contract. He said, it's not that I don't want the money. I want the money now. Bring it, give it here, bring it now. But I don't like the fact that they are always placing themselves one up of me. Like, I sell the contract and then I become your slave. Like, you are telling me what to do. That's what the Perps did to me too. They first destroyed me, and then they came to offer me money to join them.
Interesting.
He said, first they said, okay, we are going to give you 100K to apologize. No, first they said they are going to leave me alone. I said, fuck off. And then they said, we're going to give you 100K to apologize. And I said, fuck off. And then they said, we are going to give you 200K. And I said, fuck off. And then they said, we are going to give you 500K. I said, fuck off again. And then they said, we are going to give you 500K per month. I said, for 500K per month, I'm going to have sex with your mother and with you once per month.
Oh my goodness.
Because I know my worth.
Right.
And I could never take orders from
somebody else.
Someone whose brain is broken, like these people are. I mean, you obviously know that your brain is fucked and you're coming to me to collaborate with me. And you need me, I don't need you. So you can't place yourself like Dave Chappelle said, you're always placing yourself one up me. Like you placing yourself to become my master.
Yes.
Like, now we destroyed you, but now we give you money to join us. But now you join us, then you will do as we say. Because if you don't do, we're going to take that money away from you. Like it happened to the other dude, I don't know what's his name, froze his accounts and everything. And then we are going to take everything from you and put you through the same thing you've been through again. I mean, no, thank you. I'm just getting out from your brainwashing and from your attempted murder and everything. And you are trying to pay me? No, thank you. I'm good. I'm going to disconnect the rest of the targeted individuals, and I'm going to destroy your system. And then I'm going to get what I lost back. And then we'll see what's happening from there. I'm not going to give up. But these people think because they are easily manipulated and because they are sold out, they think everybody is a sold out. They think, okay, I'm just going to give you some money and then, I'm going to become your master. Not everybody is a sold out, and not everybody is willing to become someone else's slave for money.
Right.
They're obsessed by money, control, and power. It's all about that. Money, control, and power.
It's amazing.
Because that's what it boils to. Like what you said, they have everything. Let's talk about the top guys who control everything, not about these chihuahuas who are barking at us in crops. Those top guys, they have everything. So for them, it's just like, we are nothing.
Well, there was a film that came out. I didn't watch it. I saw the coming attractions for it or whatever. And the theme was that they would pay people, girls, men, women, to play this game, to go to their private property and run around and get targeted. And they would have, it was a game of survival. And basically what it was is all these rich people performing target practice on live people like you and me on their private foundation, their private property, the way you would do with the way they do with canned hunts, where they bring in foxes, wild animals from Africa to hunt on their own property, which is so unnatural, but it's disgusting and torturous and sadistic. But the film was about doing with humans.
Yeah, a few years something similar came out. A picture of a black dude painted all white. He was on one of these parties with all these Hollywood guys and rich people, and they said that they would just like release him into like a huge private property, like into a forest and stuff, and then they will hunt him down. And then people said that nobody saw that person after that. Just last picture of him.
Of course not. It's a game for these psychopaths.
They also have live murder on camera, red rooms.
Yes, yeah, it's very
on the dark web. The dark web, I explained what it is in my article when I exposed Anonymous. That's what they are doing. They are basically sick, and they are all connected. When I was introduced to the dark web, one of my former friends said, "Oh, even famous people are on there." But I don't think he was talking about the dark web. He was talking about the Gangstalking program.
Okay.
Because my stalking already started back then. It started with like the guy who told me what I was thinking about the smell of the food. He's starting about hacking my computer. He's starting about ruining relationship and that. And one of them said, even famous people are, well, he said dark web, but I'm sure our live streams on the dark web. Like voyeurism. So you basically log into this website, pick a camera, and same thing, pick a person, and you can watch them.
If they pay enough money, they have to pay.
Yeah, private clubs. And probably the same thing like the Red Room. Somebody pays a certain amount of money and said, "Okay, I want you to make him go through an accident. Or I want you to make him do this and do that."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's Sabrina Wallace says it. It's a pay-for-play thing. That we're a video game to some of these people. They're literally pressing buttons, using a joystick, and watching us as if we're a video game.
Yeah, they are seeing themselves as powerful and important, and some of them are afraid to talk about it because they will end up like us or dead. So
right,
they would rather shut up.
Yes.
It is clear. This is like an open secret. Everybody knows about it, but nobody wants to admit it.
Nobody wants to admit it, but I also think, and I know that, Karen Stewart had mentioned like years ago that these people have to sign agreements, non-disclosure agreements, that some of them have to sign on non-disclosure agreement to say that they will not talk about it, they won't tell the targeted person, and if they do, that they will be fined $10,000. So that's enough to make anyone shut their mouth if they're going to get fined $10,000 if they signed an agreement. But who in their right mind is going to sign that agreement?
There are a lot of people doing it, selling themselves for money. I told you this, their budget is unlimited. This is basically an unlimited budget we are fighting against.
Yeah.
A very well organized crime syndicate, if you can call them that way, and us, a few targets. You see how to put it, when I talk about us targeted individuals, you and me and people who are not popular, we are kind of sabotaged but left alone. If they offered me 500K to join them, how much they offered Magnus Olsen?
I don't know.
How much they offered Richard Garlinghouse or whatever his name is, who has that? How much money they offered Catherine Hostel? What's her name, that Romanian girl? Horton. How much money they offered those people if they offered me 500K? They have unlimited budget because eventually every person on earth will be connected and they cannot mess this up. Because if they mess this up, their system is crumbling. They will do whatever it takes to keep us quiet and to keep people like uninformed and misinformed. They will say, okay, this is the truth, but actually it's not. Talking about fake and sold outs. Catherine Horton, fake. Stewart, I think she's like half-half. She's a bit with them and a bit with us, with the victims.
What's your opinion on the lawsuit? If that's off the charts, you don't want to talk about it, that's fine with me.
It's nothing. It's just for the show. Because Horton was left alone after this lawsuit, right? She married her handler, and then she disappeared from the scene. And Magnus Olsen also, she kind of disappeared from the scene. Ella Free, whatever her name means, Freeman. Even Ella, you know, when I realized Ella is fake, at some point where they said they will let me alone and offer me money to join them and to, you know, just to leave me alone, I said, no, I refuse to allow a bunch of parasites to kill the best people of this world. I refuse. I can allow it. Even if I die today trying to stop them, I will die and I won't take any money. And then she said the same thing in her next, not the part with dying, but the part with I refuse to allow this to destroy the best people. She said the same thing in gathering they had.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
They used to do those gatherings every August or whatever.
Yes, Thursday.
Yeah, so she said the same thing I said. Because it sounds like a leader would say, right? Like some strong person.
Yes, yes.
Like, yeah, I refuse to allow this and do that, like dictatorship kind of. Because at some point they called me communist and dictator.
That's no leader, I'll tell you. That's not a leader.
And I said, no, I refuse to do that because it's wrong. And she said the same thing I said. And then, what's his name? Her boyfriend, Dr. something, Aaron.
Dr.
Matthew Aaron or something. Like
Aaron.
Yeah, he made a very good video about how do you call it, about technology and everything, and talking about misinformation. The most crucial part he left out. He said, technology is not so advanced to read minds.
Oh, that's not true.
He knows it's not true. You know, I know. We all know. But that's what control opposition is. They tell you everything you want to hear, and then the most important parts are leaving them out, or they are telling you something else.
Yes.
And then you are confused. I mean, is it possible or is it not? I mean,
Yeah.
you have your associations and organizations, and you are our saviors, and you are this and that, and we are following you. And at the end of the day, you are lying to us.
Absolutely.
So how is that helping us as the
None.
community, or how is that stopping them?
And you know, her website disappeared. Her domain name is for sale. She totally disappeared. She took down all the videos of all the interviews that she had with people, and didn't even notify anybody that that was happening. That's not a leader. That's a fraud.
Yeah, because some of these people, I'm not saying they started as fake. Some did, but
Yeah,
not all of them. Some started as targeted individuals, just like me and you. And once they get enough knowledge and enough followers, they don't like that. They want to silence that. So what they will do, they will come in as helpers, and then they will say, okay, we are here to help you, but they are there to sabotage you.
Oh,
And then they will pay you, like he said, join us. If I would have accepted to join them, they would have given me scripts to read and lead people to the slaughterhouse.
I see.
I would be seen as still as a targeted individual, but somehow I would have probably became popular in the community and be some sort of a, like Ella was, or Dr. Matthew, whatever was. And then at some, like the other one, Olson. And after a while, probably I would just fill up my pockets and just disappear. And then they will fill up the gap with the next one and the next one. And they keep selling these illusions of we are doing something, but they're not.
No,
It's all
there's
fake.
there's nothing going on. I don't get on those calls anymore. I did, you know, back in 2017, when I did some research online, I realized what was happening. And there was a word for what was happening to me. I know it was some kind of stalking. I didn't know it was an organized effort or that it was a program. And I stumbled across her and I said, oh, you know, I want somebody to interview me. I want to tell my story. So I think it was in March of 2017, she interviewed me, and that's actually, I was able to locate it because she took it down. She was very spiteful. She took it down, but somebody else posted it online. I was able to download it, post it to my YouTube channel. I realized shortly after that, literally within 9 months' time, that I wasn't dealing with somebody who was telling the truth. So I started listening in and not really speaking all that much, and realized that it's a thread throughout the whole community. Like you said, it's like a planned opposition or whatever. It's a way for them to gather information from people, to keep them stuck where they are, feed them fake information. And there's so many perpetrators that get on those calls. They disrupt everything. It's very toxic.
Even the dude from Australia, what's his name? He's always on these calls.
I don't know. I don't get on them anymore.
He's a bold guy. He was even on your call when you were on that show, American Coast to Coast, or whatever show we were. That body. I don't know. I can't remember all these names because if I don't pay attention to them, I can't. I don't store the information in my brain, but I can call them out when I see them. And it's so much fakeness and so many fake saviors, because everywhere you turn, you hit a wall and you hit the fake saviors.
Yeah.
And it's like a dead end. That's why I refused to join them. I said, no, I'm going to do my own thing. I built a website. I made my YouTube channel. I made everything. They tried to take my YouTube channel down so many times. Like, they reported all my videos. At some point, YouTube was like, okay, we understand, because you can leave a comment, when you said appeal here. And I said, listen, my ex is trying to take down the channel. She's trying to take revenge on me. Nothing goes against any policies. All these videos were already on YouTube. how can you take mine and the other video is on? And then probably someone read that, and I had so many reports on my videos that at some point even YouTube said, we understand you don't want to do anything that goes against our standards, and even if this is the third or fourth strike, I was like at the limit to have my channel deleted. Even if you are at the limit, we are not going to take down your channel.
Yes, yes.
We are just going to, let this one go. After my first interview, because what happened on my first interview? I made a presentation and I connected all the dots, or most of the dots. And they didn't want that because before the interview, they bombarded my brain with all sorts of stupid thoughts, and they thought they will manipulate me to say things the way they wanted to say, to make me sound stupid and crazy and deluded. But because the presentation had to be done and the dots had to be connected, and it was my first interview, I said, okay, I'm going to make a presentation. And I made that nicely presentation with dates, with names, with numbers, with everything. And then they hit me with some form of energy, because like now I was sweating and I was, kind of agitated, but I could control myself because I had a screen in front of me, with the text. And I read and I explained and I kept my cool. But even a few viewers said, I think you got hit with directed energy weapon during that interview, because someone who knows can see what's happening. Someone who doesn't, it appears like you are crazy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, you'll see when you go through this again, they were hitting me on my neck. And I reached over to rub my neck a little while ago because they were pounding on my neck while
you are sweating. You are like wet.
Yeah. I was feeling, I wanted to get them out of here. Right? But,
they keep trying these little tricks on us to make us look crazy. But
yes,
I think everyone who has more than 2 neurons functional can tell that we are not talking nonsense, because everything that we are talking about, like we started with the psychology, it's in the books.
Yes,
it can be verified. If anyone wants to verify what we are talking about and what we said, it can be verified.
And it's all nonsense.
Every single sentence what we are talking here can be verified. It's not that we are making things up like they want us. And everyone with a brain can tell that, yes, we are genuine and we are having a genuine conversation here and we are trying to have. Of course, they will come and leave stupid comments and they will try to discredit us and all of that. But it's not working for somebody who has a brain.
No. But anyway, I so appreciate your inviting me. I hope we can do this again. I mean, it's like a little bit like after 3 o'clock my time, and I'm going to have to go start taking care of my animals, get them ready, because the sun starts going down about an hour.
It was nice talking to you. You can tell the people where can they find you. I will also leave a link to your YouTube channel in the comments.
It's Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, and if you need to email me, it's alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. And again, it's Alternative Homesteading is the YouTube channel. If you're going to provide a link, that's wonderful.
I will leave a link in the comments.
So much. And yes, this is Viorel's book. Here's his book right here, guys. It's The Battle for Your Brain, Psychological Warfare, Gangstalking, Attention Awareness.
Yeah, let's hope people will read it and disconnect themselves from the matrix.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming. We will end this conversation here. We'll keep in touch. I want to say one last thing for the people who are watching this video. If you have any questions, if you want us to do this again, just leave a comment, leave your questions, and we can get in touch with Lorraine again, and we can do this again. We can probably do a Q&A, or we see how it goes. We might do this again. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and have a lot of fun on your farm.
Yeah, we'll have some fun, okay? All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye bye.